Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible systems that are supposed to keep you safe at your job? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on exactly what those are and how they work.
So let me ask you this. What system really keeps you safe where you work? Is it just, being careful, trusting your gut? Or is there something bigger, something more deliberate, going on behind the scenes?
Well, it might not surprise you to learn that it all starts with the law. These safety systems aren't just good ideas that companies dream up. At their very core, they're a legal requirement.
The bedrock for all of this is actual legislation, like the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1994. This is the kind of law that lays out in no uncertain terms what an employer must do to protect its people.
So, what does the law actually demand? Well, it pretty much boils down to 4 fundamental duties. Employers have to provide safe systems of work, they've got to maintain all their equipment and machinery, and this one's huge, they have to provide the right training, supervision, and information. At the end of the day, it all adds up to one clear goal: maintain a safe working environment.
Okay, but that sounds like a ton of stuff to keep track of, right? So how on earth does a company actually manage all of this day in and day out?
Well, they do it by building a formal system for it. And that's where this thing called an OHMS comes in. Now, I know, it sounds like a super technical acronym, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Let's break it down.
OSMSS. It stands for Occupational Safety and Health Management System. But what does that really mean? Just think of it as the company's official game plan for managing every health and safety risk. It's not about random spot checks. It's about having a solid, repeatable process. Actually, a really great way to think about it is like this. It's the official operating manual for the company's entire safety culture. It's the playbook, the guide, the whole shebang, all rolled into one.
But here's where things get kind of interesting. It's not like there's just one single operating manual that every company uses. There are actually several major standards they can follow, but they're all aiming for the exact same goal: keeping people safe.
Let's take a look at a few of the big players here. You had OHSS 18001, which is a specification you could actually get certified for. On the other hand, you've got something like ILO OSH 2001, which is a guideline. It's less about getting a certificate and more about embracing principles like worker participation. Now, the new king on the block is ISO 45001. That's a true international standard, which is a massive deal for global companies. And then, of course, you have national standards like MS 1722 in Malaysia, which is focused squarely on local compliance. So you see, different flavors for different needs.
But here's the secret. Even with all those different names, different origins, and different acronyms, you'll find they all share a surprisingly similar DNA. It's like they were all built from the same core set of blueprints.
And what is that core blueprint? It's all built around one incredibly powerful idea: continuous improvement. This isn't about writing a rule and then forgetting about it. It's about creating a living system that is constantly learning, adapting, and getting better.
This cycle is famously known as the Deming Wheel, but most people just call it plan, do, check, act. Honestly, the easiest way to get it is to think about baking a cake, right? First, you plan the recipe. Then, you do the actual baking. After that comes the best part: you check your work, you taste it. And based on that feedback, you act to make it better next time. More vanilla, less time in the oven. That's the cycle. And safety management works the exact same way.
Let's see this in practice. Take the MS 1722 standard, for example. It breaks the cycle into 5 elements. First, you have the policy. That's your plan, setting the goals. Then you organize, which is about assigning roles to make the plan happen. Next up is planning and implementation. That's the do part. Then you evaluate your performance, which is the check. And it all leads to the final step: action for improvement. That's your act. See? It's the same exact cycle.
And this logic is everywhere. I mean, look at this. Side by side, you've got OSHA 18001 and ILO OS 2001. Sure, the words are a little different. One says checking and corrective action, the other says evaluation. But look at the core idea: policy, planning, implementing, checking, improving. It is the exact same engine under a slightly different hood.
And this is really the key thing to take away from all of this. The goal isn't a one-time fix. The goal is to create a cycle of continuous safety improvement, a process that just keeps getting better and better over time.
So let's just do a super quick recap. First, safety systems aren't optional. They're required by law. Second, that formal plan to manage all the risks is called an OSMS. Third, major standards like ISO 45001 provide the playbook.
And finally, the most important part, they all run on that powerful plan, do, check, act cycle of continuous improvement.
So I'll leave you with one last question to think about. At your workplace, is the safety system just a binder on a shelf, a checklist that people tick off, or is it something more? Is it a living, breathing culture that's always trying to get better?